I'm a guy that's 25. Lego Star Wars is my life. I like Ryan Johnson. I'm Rich Boy J. Hello boyos, Rich Boy J here, back with another video, and this is going to be my list for the top 10 Star Wars scenes that LEGO has never made into a set. Star Wars has been a consistent theme for LEGO for about 21 years now, and as such, the list of things we haven't gotten gets smaller and smaller each year. When it comes to vehicles and minifigures, LEGO has done a pretty amazing job at giving us a holistic collection, but location-based sets have not been nearly as fortunate. I'm going to be honest, there are some scenes on this list that straight up blow my mind as to how they have not been made into sets yet. Just to clarify a few things right off the bat, I want to say this list is going to be pretty light on the Disney Star Wars films, only because those are new and, you know, LEGO hasn't had nearly as much time to make sets for those as they would have for the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy. I'd also like to say that this is not going to include scenes from the cartoons or supplementary shows. This is going to be strictly from the films and even the spin-off films, just to keep things simple and straightforward. Let's go ahead and dive in. Number 10 on the list is going to be the Naboo Palace. Now, knowing the way that YouTube comment sections work, the comments in this video are going to be flooded with, oh, what about set number X, if I don't clarify things right off the bat. So I do want to say I am specifically referring to the Naboo Palace. I know we got the dual set based on the generator room, or whatever the heck that room's supposed to be, but we haven't gotten any sets specifically based in the Naboo Palace as a scenery set. And the Naboo Palace is a pretty big part of episode 1's ending and even episodes 2 ending, surprisingly. I feel like there are so many places in Naboo that would be very conducive to LEGO sets. Two things that come to my mind are the scene where the Jedi jump down from the bridge, and that's, I guess, where they save the Queen. I think that'd be a pretty decent, like $25 to $30 set, like a bridge build. Throw some minifigs in there, our two heroes, Jar Jar, some Naboo folks, like that would just work out pretty well. And also there's the scene at the end of the film where Padme and the royal guards are storming the palace. The scene that really sticks out to me that would be a pretty epic LEGO play feature is where they use their grappling hook guns to scale the palace, the side of the palace. I think if LEGO were to implement some sort of play feature where you could, I don't know, twist a knob and have all the characters basically ascend up the side of a palace using like tow cables or whatever, I think that'd be pretty cool. That would actually be a really nice play feature to see integrated into a build. Number 9 on the list is Dryden Voss's yacht. No, I don't mean his ship, I mean the inside of his yacht, specifically his office. I know this is a bit of a weird choice for a list like this, but I do think this would make a really interesting and cool LEGO set. Dryden's office is a pretty interesting location. Like, there's lots of fun things around, like the Mandalorian armor in the back. Just the way it's all situated and the action scene that we see from this office in the film seems so conducive to a LEGO set. The fact that we haven't even gotten Dryden Voss as a minifig merely makes this set necessary, because it would give them a perfect opportunity to give us the main villain of Solo: A Star Wars Story that we somehow haven't even gotten up until this point. Just a nice small set with Han, Dryden, maybe Kira as well, with some elements of his office would make a pretty good LEGO set. Like, that just seems right up LEGO's alley. Number 8 on the list is going to be Starkiller Base. Now this, I know, sounds kind of funny coming from me, the guy who was building Starkiller Base, but it is pretty surprising we have not gotten a single interior build from Starkiller Base. It's obviously the Death Star of episode 7, and considering the amount of Death Star related sets that we get, this seems like a no-brainer to me. Of course, we got the dual set with Kylo Ren and Rey in the Forest, but I'm talking about anything from the inside of Starkiller Base. There's so many memorable scenes that they could make into a LEGO set. Some that come to my mind are the interrogation room where Kylo is looking into Rey's head. There's of course tons of hallways that we see our heroes running through that would make for pretty straightforward LEGO sets, just having a hallway, some stormtroopers, some heroes, boom, simple interior of Starkiller Base LEGO set. I know there isn't a ton of action that happens in this room, but a LEGO set based on Snoke's hologram room with like a big Snoke build, and then Kylo Ren and Hux standing on a platform in front of him, seems like it could make for an interesting LEGO set. If anything, I think they absolutely could do some sort of set based on the oscillator room. You could have like some stair builds, and of course Han and Chewie running around placing the bombs. You could have an elevated platform with Rey and Finn overlooking everything, and then of course a walkway with Kylo Ren and Han Solo. Number 7 on the list is going to be Canto Bight. Now hold on, hold on, before you click off the video, just hear me out. Canto Bight is one of those Star Wars locations and just sequences that I feel is so conducive to a Lego set. Imagine a set of Canto Bight where you have the fathier that Rose and Finn are both riding on, and they're just going through the casino, destroying everything in sight. There's so many play features you could include in this to have the casino go from a pretty nice, decent looking build to just completely destroyed. I think that would be super fun. You could even include maybe one of the speeders that the fathiers trample as they're running through the streets. You could also maybe even throw in a little side build of like Broom Boy's stable and of course a Broom Boy minifigure, but then you could also include a build of the Canto Bight security guard's speeder. I think that that would make a really nice Lego set. Even if you don't want to do that scene, if you just want to do the casino, you could also throw in like a room where there's the jail cell where they meet DJ. Like Canto Bight just has so many scenes that I feel would be really conducive to Lego sets and would just make a lot of sense as a Lego set. Even if you don't necessarily care for the sequence, I think you have to agree that there are so many easy ways they could make this sequence into a Lego set, and it's really surprising that we don't, considering how big of a part of the movie the Canto Bight sequence is. Now, if you've been watching the video up until this point and thinking, Jay, I don't care if any of these things get made into Lego sets, they're honestly just not that important to me, then I think you'll really appreciate the rest of this video, because we're now at the point where there is literally no excuse for any of the remaining scenes on this list to have not been made into Lego sets. Number 6 on the list is the Invisible Hand. The opening sequence of Star Wars Episode 3 is praised by so many Star Wars fans. People just love this opening sequence, and it is a straight up shame that we've not gotten a single set representing a single scene on the Invisible Hand. There's so many things you could do here, even if you're ignoring some of the obvious choices like the hangar sequence or the elevator sequence, or even aboard the bridge of the ship where they have to fight General Grievous's bodyguards. The one scene that I think is indefensible as to why there isn't a Lego set yet is the fight with Count Dooku and our two heroes. Lego has clearly proven to us they love making sets from these battle scenes, and this is the first battle right out of the gate in Episode 3. It's a pretty important one in terms of the context of the movie and just showing Anakin's turn to the dark side, showing Palpatine building a relationship with him, all those things. Like, I'd say this is a relatively important fight in terms of this film, and the fact that Lego has not done it at all is just mind-blowing to me. This seems like such an easy set for them to make. The setup of the room isn't that dissimilar to the one we see in Episode 6 in the fight between Luke and Vader, and there's so many play features they could throw into this thing. One of the most obvious ones for me is like a collapsible balcony that you could sit on your Obi-Wan figure while Anakin does all the hard work. I just don't see how at this point, 15 years removed from Revenge of the Sith, that we've gotten a scene of Yoda's fight with Count Dooku, but we haven't gotten a scene of Anakin and Obi-Wan's second fight with Count Dooku. Number 5 is Yavin. I know someone's gonna bring up the fact that we got that little Yavin mini scenery build in the 4+ A-Wing set, but that doesn't count. I'm talking about some actual Yavin scenery. Yavin's such an important Star Wars location. Like, we see it obviously in Episode 4. It's where the Rebels formulate their plan. That's where their main base is. Like, that's obviously super important in that film, and even at this point, like, we've seen it pretty extensively in Rogue One as well, but still no Yavin set. It's pretty shocking. There is of course that one prototype set we've seen from Yavin that was pretty much abandoned by Lego, but I still think that even to this day this could make a really nice Lego set. I mean, we've seen with the Betrayal on Cloud City set, they included a mini Slave One build, which people really appreciate, so why couldn't they do a Yavin build kind of in that same vein with a mini-sized X-Wing? They could have the celebration scene, they could have a small part of a hangar, they could even throw in the debriefing room where we learn how the battle on the Death Star is going to take place. Like, Yavin just seems like a no-brainer for a Star Wars build. It's one of the more iconic Star Wars locations, and it's pretty sad that we still haven't gotten an actual Yavin based set. Number 4 on the list is Kamino. Can we get a Kamino set? Can we get literally any part of Kamino in a Lego set? Can we get a Kaminoan in a Lego set? Like, holy crap, how is there still not a Kamino set that Lego has made? There's so many things you could do. You could do the platform where Jango and Obi-Wan have their fight. You could do an extensive interior to Kamino, like the clone training facility, like Jango Fett's little apartment. You could even do a set of the White Room where Lama Su talks to Obi-Wan. I don't know, literally just anything from Kamino. The fact that we still do not have a Kaminoan minifigure is insane to me. It's a shame because Kamino is such a cool and unique Star Wars location and a Star Wars universe where we get so many builds that are just variations of gray. Like a build like Kamino, an interior build like Kamino where everything is mostly white and bright would be really nice. It'd be a nice change of pace. The Kaminoan is probably my top Star Wars alien that I think we desperately need to see made into a minifigure, and also a pretty good justification for a Kamino based set. Number 3 on the list is most of Geonosis. I first have to give Lego a little bit of credit. It took them like 11 years or so, but they did finally come out with that final battle set between Yoda and Dooku, so that's good. It's the main final battle in the film. It absolutely deserved to have a set, so I give them credit for finally putting that out there. But there is still so much of Geonosis that could be made into Lego sets that we just haven't gotten. The Droid Factory is another one of those that you just think about and you say, wow, like that could totally be a Lego set. I could totally imagine that being a Lego set. There are so many moving parts and play features that Lego could incorporate. It would give them an opportunity to give us a version of Padme that isn't her like with her shirt ripped up, but just a normal episode 2 Padme. You could include a conveyor belt with some pretty fun features, and I don't know, maybe even throw in C-3PO with a droid head and a droid with a C-3PO head. And I don't know, it'd be a cool thing to incorporate. The Geonosian Arena is another one of those locations that needs to be made into a Lego set. This is such a lengthy sequence and a super important part of the film, and the fact that it's been omitted from Lego's catalog of sets still surprises me. A build like this seems right up Lego's alley. They could do either some big figs for the Reek Act like a Nexu, or they could do a brick build, but either way, we could have our heroes maybe chained up to some poles, trying to figure out creative ways to deal with these giant monsters that are trying to attack them. You could throw in a little side build of like Dooku and Jango and his friends kind of hanging out up on an elevated part of the stadium, and maybe even build a little bit of the arena out and have some Geonosians in the crowd. I don't know, this doesn't have to be a super elaborate set like it can be. It could totally be a Master Builder series set, but it doesn't even have to be that. I just feel like this needs to be represented in Lego in some capacity. This is probably one of the most memorable sequences from Star Wars Episode 2 and absolutely deserves to be made into a Lego set. Number 2 and 1 on this list I feel could be interchangeable. I'll explain why I ended up putting 1 at the top of the list, but 2 could be at the top of any list. Number 2 for me is the Jedi Temple. How has this not been made into a Lego set? How has no part of this been made into a Lego set? The Jedi Temple is the central location of the prequels. We visit this place so many times. It's in 3 different films. We see so much of it. There are so many rooms that are familiar to us as viewers in the Jedi Temple, and we've gotten literally nothing from it. If I were to make a list of all the things you could make into a Lego set from the Jedi Temple, that could literally be an entire 10-minute video on its own. We have the library, we have the council chambers, we have that weird dark meeting room with Anakin and Yoda. There's the giant hallways and walkways. There's the pretty iconic stairs out front that the 501st march up. There are so many things from the Jedi Temple that you can make into a Lego set. I've heard some people try to rationalize why there hasn't been a set based on this because of this one specific scene from episode 3 that Lego probably wouldn't want to recreate, which I kind of understand. Like, I get they probably would not want to have a Lego set that is basically depicting a man killing children. I understand that to an extent, but they could just omit that if they really wanted to do a Jedi Temple set based on the Order 66 501st March into the Jedi Temple. They can throw in some of the lesser known Jedis that we see in this sequence. Before we actually got a 501st Battle Pack, my thought for how they could incorporate, before we got a 501st Battle Pack, I always thought a neat set could be basically the platform that Bail Organa lands on whenever he arrives to the temple. Temple, you could throw in 2 501st Troopers as well as Zet Jukasa, and even include Bail Organa's speeder. This will be a great way for us to get a prequel version of Bail Organa, which we still haven't gotten up until this point. It's honestly pretty surprising that the first Bail Organa minifig we got is the one from Rogue One and not the one that we're probably mostly familiar with from the prequels. It would be a good way to get some 501st troops and then also a cool Jedi Padawan, Jet Jukasa. But either way, I don't think I need to spend a ton of time convincing you guys why the Jedi Temple deserves to be made into a set in some capacity. We see this location so much in Star Wars that it makes no sense to not have this as a Lego set. All right, number one. Number one on this list is so iconic. Like, when I was making this list, when this one came to mind, I actually was just shocked at the fact that it wasn't a set. Like, it's one of those scenes that you would just assume, oh, that has to be a set. That has to have been made into a set. But we have still never gotten a depiction of this scene in a Lego set, and it is the Tantive IV Hallway. Let me tell you why this is so important to be made into a Lego set. For one, it is basically the first scene we see in Star Wars. Like, we see the 2 ships flying through space, obviously, but this is literally the first location with characters that we ever see in Star Wars. It's super iconic for that fact alone. It's also a pretty simple location, right? Like, it's a hallway with a door. You have your good guys on one side and your bad guys on another side. It's not some big elaborate thing that wouldn't really be easy to be made into a Lego set. It makes a lot of sense to be made as a Lego set. The other part of this is we've gotten 3 Tantive IV Lego sets, but still never the most iconic scene that happens on the Tantive IV being made into a Lego set. If you've ever heard me talk about the Tantive IV Lego set, specifically the most recent 2, you know how strongly I feel about the fact that rather than including this hallway in the set, they decided to include an office. Like, why? But if they don't want to have to cram in this hallway into a set, which I can kind of understand, I guess, why hasn't this just been made into a set on its own? Once again, it's a super iconic Star Wars scene. At this point, we've seen this hallway in 3 Star Wars films, at least. Star Wars episodes 3, 4, and Rogue One. Like, it blows my mind that we got that one Rebel battle pack with that weird speeder before we got this set. We've gotten 2 T-16 Skyhoppers, a ship that we've never even actually seen fly in Star Wars, be made into a Lego set. We've gotten a freaking TIE crawler as a Lego set before we've gotten this iconic Tantive IV hallway. I don't know, this might not be a super important scene to other people, but I feel like this is one of those things that just has to be made into a Lego Star Wars set. Like, there is literally just no way around it. So that's gonna finish the video. I hope you guys enjoyed checking out my list of iconic Star Wars scenes that haven't been made into Lego sets. I would really love your opinion as to not only my list, but for what you think are some important scenes I didn't include on this list that deserve to be made into Star Wars sets. Making this video was super interesting. Like, it was a fun thought experiment to really put your brain to work and think about the locations we haven't gotten into Star Wars sets. So I hope you guys have a little fun with it as well. But that's gonna end things. If you like what I do, go ahead, support the video by hitting the like button, support the channel by smashing that subscribe button, and I'll be back again very soon.